In the winding coastal town of Porthaven, where the salt air curled around lampposts and the fog rolled in like a whispered secret, there lived a woman named Cora. She was a cartographer by trade, a woman who drew maps for a living. Her hands were steady, her eyes sharp, and she believed that everything in the world could be measured, charted, and predicted. Cora walked the same route to her workshop every morning, down Acorn Lane, past the baker's shop, across the old stone bridge, and along the seawall where the waves crashed against the granite. She had walked this path for 37 years. She knew every crack in the pavement, every uneven stone, every faded line of chalk where children had once played hopscotch. One morning, she noticed something strange. A crack in the sidewalk that had always curved like a crescent moon now stretched into a straight line. It was not a new crack, the edges were worn and gray with age, but it was different. It had rearranged itself. Cora knelt down, her knees popping, and traced the line with her finger. It was not just a crack. It was a word. Stop. She laughed, a nervous, brittle sound. The salt air is addling my mind, she muttered to herself. She stood, brushed off her skirt, and continued to her workshop. She drew maps all day, her compass and ruler steady in her hands. But the word lingered in the back of her mind like a splinter. The next morning, the crack was different again. Where stop had been, there was now a new word. Look. Cora looked. She looked up and down the street. A cat stretched on a windowsill. A fisherman mended his nets. A young couple argued softly by the bridge. Nothing unusual. She shook her head and walked on, but she could not shake the feeling that she was being watched. Not by a person, but by the ground itself. The third morning, the cracks had formed a sentence. It stretched across 3 paving stones, the letters jagged and ancient. The red boat will not return. Cora's blood ran cold. Her husband, a fisherman named Thomas, had taken his red skiff out to sea the previous afternoon. He was due back that evening. She had not thought much of it, he had sailed those waters for decades. But now the words burned into her mind like a brand. She spent the day in a daze, her maps forgotten. She paced her workshop, glancing out the window toward the gray, churning sea. She told herself the sidewalk was nonsense. Cracks were cracks, they did not speak, they did not prophesy. But as the sun began to sink, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple, Cora grabbed her coat and ran to the harbor. Thomas's red skiff was not there. She stood on the pier, the wind whipping her gray hair across her face, and watched the empty horizon. The other fishermen had returned hours ago. She asked them, her voice trembling, if they had seen him. They shook their heads. The sea had been rough. The fog had rolled in thick. No one had seen the red boat. Cora did not sleep that night. She sat by the window, staring at the dark water, waiting for a sail that never appeared. When dawn broke, she walked to her workshop with leaden feet. She did not want to look at the sidewalk. She did not want to see what new message awaited her, but she could not stop herself. The cracks had changed again. He is safe. He is lost. He will find his way home. Cora wept. She wept for the confusion of it, the cruel hope it offered. She did not know if the sidewalk was telling her to give up or to hold on. She did not know if the words were warnings or comfort or something else entirely. For 3 days, she walked that path, checking the cracks. The words shifted and twisted with each sunrise. Trust the fog. He sees a light. Do not sail out. The tide is turning. They were fragments, riddles, pieces of a story she could not fully read. On the 4th evening, as the fog rolled in thick and gray, Cora saw a light flickering on the horizon. A small red shape emerged from the mist, Thomas's skiff. He was alive. He was exhausted, half frozen, but alive. He told her that the fog had swallowed him. He had lost his bearings, drifted for days, nearly given up. But on the 3rd night, he had seen a strange glow, not a lighthouse, not a ship, but something rising from the water itself, as if the sea had opened and shown him the way. He had followed it home. Cora held him and wept. The next morning, she walked to the sidewalk. She knelt down, her hands trembling, and looked at the cracks. They were just cracks again. Crescent moons, uneven lines, the ordinary wear of time. No words, no warnings, no prophecies. Cora traced the lines with her fingers and understood. The sidewalk had not been warning her about Thomas's death. It had been guiding her. It had shown her fear, tested her faith. and ultimately led her to the one thing she had forgotten in all her years of mapping the world: that some things cannot be charted. Some paths are not straight, some messages arrive not as answers, but as invitations to trust. She still walks the same route to her workshop, though she walks more slowly now. She does not look for messages in the cracks. She has learned that the sidewalk does not speak to her anymore. It does not need to. The words are now written in her heart. And if, once in a great while, she passes a stranger kneeling on the pavement, staring at a line of cracks with wide, wondering eyes, she does not interrupt. She simply smiles and continues on her way. For she knows that the sidewalk remembers everyone. It remembers the ones who are ready to listen. And when they are ready, it will show them exactly what they need to see.